Oh, man. Okay. Cool, calm, and collect. That's what you gotta be. Man. Man, oh, man, oh, man. What's going on, guys? Welcome. That's a tough one. That's a tough one to swallow. I'm not going to lie. So, welcome, everybody. Again, as per usual, we're going to give everyone a couple minutes, 2-3 minutes to come in. And you guys can fire off your reactions, let off a little steam. I get it. It's frustrating. That was forces you to kind of just pause and collect yourself for a little bit. Like, how long has it been? What is this, 8 years now? Is it 7, 8 years since they've beaten Texas A&M? 2011, right? Yeah, 2011, last time they won, and that was a close game. I forgot the score, 41-38 or something, but that was it. That was the last time they beat these guys. Texas A&M, not Alabama, not LSU. I know, like, everyone's like, well, it's A&M. They recruit really well. Yeah, but the Sumlin years weren't exactly great outside the Manziel era. And Jimbo Fisher, I'm sorry. Like, I thought coming into this game, well, A&M's a legit top 25 team. They don't look like a legit top 25 team. I'm just going to start off by saying that. So we're going to pump the brakes. Going to try and let the you got to keep the emotions out of it when you do this stuff. I'm gonna read chat here in just a second, but I do appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to stop by and check out the video. This is the earliest we've done a live stream, so I'm not sure how this will go. So I don't really know if I should wait. Like normally, I try to give about 4-5 minutes to get everybody in here because I hate repeating myself. Try to fill the room up a little bit, but so we'll do this. We'll start the intro off. Thank you guys so much again for taking time out of your day. If you would, now preferably would be great. If you could like, comment, share the content that you're watching. Check out all the links down below. The Patreon, to all the Patreon supporters and the people who've donated through the PayPal link down below. I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. You make it even that much more special to do this, knowing that you've got people that believe in you enough to do something like that, to go the extra step and to donate and to be a part of the Patreon and all that stuff. So I do appreciate that. Don't forget to tap the subscribe button. I feel like the majority of you have actually, I think a majority of you in here have already subscribed. Like I haven't looked at my analytics, my YouTube analytics, but I think I'm doing pretty well as far as subscribers since we've been going live, and that's awesome. And it shows that doing this pays off, and I absolutely love decompressing with everybody. It just, it's fun when we can sit in here and, I wish I had a cold beer to drink, although I'm sure that would get flagged on YouTube, but it's good. We all just kind of decompress together. So, all right, we're coming up on 4 minutes. Let's see, Spencer Coles, this game was a lot more competitive than I thought it would be. So we're going to start off by saying that before we get into the numbers. Actually, let's do the numbers first, and then I'll give you my reaction really quick. Some of this might actually surprise you. Kellen Mond did look okay. It's not like he lit the world on fire. I expected him to have more success. It was strange how in the first half, the defense, like Arkansas, let's just go ahead and say it, they controlled the line of scrimmage. When was the last time you could say that about this Arkansas football team? They controlled the line of scrimmage, and they were in Kellen Mond's face quite a bit. He would end up going 23 of 35 for 251 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. They really couldn't get the run game going. Cabody, is that his name? Jacob Cabody, 9 carries, 38 yards. He was the most productive out of the bunch in terms of yards per carry. He was the only one that was north on more than just a couple of carries. He was the only one north of well, no, they actually had 2 guys above 30 yards. Kellen Mond did technically run for 33, 14 carries for 33. But Cabody had 4.2 yards per carry. So as a team, Courtney Davis had 2 carries for 19. As a team, they ran the ball 33 times for 89 yards, 2.7 yards per carry, and 1 touchdown. Their longest run was 18 yards. Their longest play from the line of scrimmage was 30 yards. Now, that did happen, and there were a couple of 20-plus yard plays, or at least one, I believe. Courtney Davis did have a 22-yard reception. So through the air, Osmond killed them. 7 catches, 82 yards. I mean, he was wide open when he shouldn't have been there in the red zone. Anus sounds like anus. Giggity. I think it's pronounced Aeneas Smith. Aeneas. I guess it's Aeneas. I guess I've never actually seen that name spelled out before. But Aeneas Smith, although I thought it would be like A-N-A or A-N-I A-U-S or A-N whatever. Smith, 5 catches, 80 yards for a touchdown. Courtney Davis, 7 catches, 62 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, their red zone offense was a little flimsy. And they had some things going on there on offense, especially even with Starkel out there, where you felt like they're having a hard time gaining consistency, but they still found a way to, score. That defensive touchdown, Scooter Harris, that's probably his biggest play. That's his biggest play of the year, that fumble recovery for a touchdown. That's, correct me if I'm wrong, that's 3 turnovers for a touchdown. Did they have like 1 last year? And they're just now entering SEC play. It's nice to see that. We have seen as much hate as we've all thrown at Chavis, and I'm going to argue rightfully so, most of it. At least we could say the turnovers and the defensive takeaways and touchdowns have been impressive. Okay, that's something we haven't seen. Today, the pressure and the chaos and the ability to control the line of scrimmage against a quality SEC opponent, I still think they're a legit, probably top 30. They're a bubble team. At their best, I think they still are a top 20 team because of the talent that they have on that roster, and because you combine that with Jimbo Fisher, and they've got a pretty solid staff. They are definitely, they top out, I think. Their ceiling is a top 20, somewhere between top 20, top 18. They're there. So Arkansas controlled the line of scrimmage. Their front 7 on defense played really good. Smith also had a kick return for 31 yards for A&M, and they only had 1 punt return for 9 yards. So that was interesting. Their field goal, Seth Small, he kicked that 50-yarder. He was perfect on extra points. He kicked that 50-yarder, and if you go back and watch that thing looked like it could have gone another 15 yards. Their special teams, that punt. When was that? Was that the third or fourth quarter when they pinned Arkansas back behind the 5? Their special teams, in my opinion, at the end of the day, probably won this game for them. That and the god-awful officiating. Did you see the receiver? Was it Tyson Morris get tackled right in front of the official? And even the announcers who, they're all up on the other team. Whoever Arkansas plays on the SEC network, they're usually just sniffing their toe jam. I don't know. I had to come up with something quick. They were amazed that there was no call. What was that? That is the most blown, obvious call I have ever seen. And there's always holding. Everyone complains about, they're not calling the holding calls. Arkansas got away with some holds. Look, I watched, when it comes to trench warfare and what they're going to call, all I care about is call it both ways. And the same thing can be said for pass interference. And when you start penalizing, regardless of what it is, it's got to be called both ways. So switching over to Arkansas, Ben Hicks Starkel starts, right? He gets hurt. He gets banged up on his interception play. 12 of 17. That's not bad. 5 incompletions. Yeah, he threw a pick. That's not terrible. 5 incompletions on 17 throws isn't terrible. It's 109 yards, 6.4 yards per completion. So, that's not bad, but Ben Hicks comes in after the injury, 15-27. That's a lot of throwing, man. That's 44 pass attempts for this offense, and that's not what Chad Morris wants to do. But 15-27 for Ben Hicks, 188 yards, 7 yards per completion, 1 touchdown, no picks. He hasn't thrown a pick all year, has he? So he's played – how many quarters did he play? He's played, 4, 6. So he's played, 8 quarters? I don't think he has a pick. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think Hicks has thrown an interception this year, but 15 and 27, 188 yards, 7 yards per completion. Rakeem Boyd on the ground, 4.9 yards a carry on 18 carries, so 89 yards with no score for him. But Duvall Whaley, 3 carries, 12 yards. He has a touchdown. As a team, they rushed the ball 26 times for 98 yards. In my opinion, the player of the game for Arkansas has got to be Cheyenne O'Grady. 8 catches, 91 yards. All he needed was a touchdown to top this day off. I thought he was spectacular. Woods had that nice touchdown grab, 4 catches, 62 yards. Traylon Burks, 4 for 58. Tyson Morse, 2 for 26. Duvall Whaley, 3 for 21. Monteric Brown had the interception. And let's see. And Connor Limpert, 2 of 3 for, he was 3 for 3 on extra points, 2 of 3 on field goals. His longest was yet another 45-plus yard field goal. It's his, I think, third on the year. That one was 48 yards. Okay, stats out of the way. Reaction is, I'm going to say this, and like we said it on Twitter, we've got a poll up on the Hog Talk podcast. I'm wearing the shirt. I know you guys dig you dig the Friday, the Flamingo Friday, and here's the Hog Talk podcast shirt. I know we're still trying to figure out how to get those handed out. I don't know. Last I talked to Jacob on that is he's dealing. I think they need up to 15 pre-orders, and we're still waiting to fill those pre-orders. So if you guys are still interested, you can get with Jacob on Discord, or we'll just have to figure it out. But anyways, we got a poll up, and it's asking. It says, play this hard the rest of the year. Razorback football could absolutely sneak out an SEC win in 2019. Already within 15 minutes, that thing had, I think it's been up for about 20 minutes, almost 200 votes. 84% say agree, 16% say disagree. Some of the comments, Justin Potts, who's a regular in here, said that they play this hard, it won't be a sneak. So that's a really good point. Cash Reeves says, Cash Reeves on Twitter says, I agree, but history tells me we come out after bye and lay an egg and lose to Kentucky by 30. We will really know a lot about this program in that game. Have to have the momentum of playing well carry over into that game. That's absolutely a great point by Cash Reeves. And then BVH Hawkeye on Twitter at Lenny Cat says, not until they fix their biggest weakness, offensive line. 2 in particular need to be replaced. Look, the offensive line wasn't terrible today. In all honesty, you could argue that for 2.5, maybe even 3 quarters, Arkansas dominated the line of scrimmage. Hicks and Starkel, I think, were both sacked, I believe. But they didn't. They dominated. Like there were plays where Hicks could sit back in that backfield, or Starkel sit in the pocket, bounce around, and hold on to the ball for like 4 seconds. That happened several times. Now, yeah, the pocket collapses every once in a while, but you can't hold on to the ball forever. And if I remember right, one of those sacks earlier in the game was because the quarterback just held on to the ball too long. I like that Hicks isn't afraid to throw that ball out of bounds. I like that. I liked what I saw out of Hicks. His hustle today was, that scramble to set up a 4th and short. If he'd been a little quicker, and I know people are going to argue, had that been KJ Jefferson or John Stephen Jones, that would have been a first down. Probably. But that was also a decision that Hicks had to make within that moment of time. And I don't know that KJ or John Stephen would have done the same. They may have taken a different route. They may have tried to get around the when the pocket collapsed or whatever, instead of running through or trying to step up into the pocket and then run through the pocket when it collapsed, they may have tried to bounce around outside. I don't know. That's a gut reaction kind of play by Hicks, and it worked out in his favor. Now, you could argue if he had their athleticism, yeah, that would have been a first, without a doubt. Had they made that decision to run in that direction when that pocket collapsed when it did, absolutely would have been a first down. Ben Hicks is not. He doesn't possess the athleticism that KJ and John Stephen have. But that's besides the point. Hicks came out and honestly, yeah, they had a couple drives that stalled and some things. There were some receivers running wrong routes, but at the end of the day, and I think Burks made a couple of mistakes. I think there was an illegal man downfield that was called on him, and then he had that false start. That hurts, man. You can't make those kind of mistakes, but when you're a freshman, it's really hard to put all the blame on the freshman that makes the mistake. I was legitimately impressed with what I saw today. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed that things happen the way they did, right? I'm disappointed that they couldn't find a way to beat A&M. This is not a great A&M team. I will agree that they're coming off a very physical game against Auburn, but they're still not. I've watched them actually probably more than any other team that I've watched outside of Arkansas in the SEC this year. I'm not impressed with them. Their talent says they're top 20, but everything else, the product that's on the field, it's going to take another year for Jimbo to get things going over there for them to beat someone who can compete. Now, they're going to get a bye week. I believe they have a bye week and they take on Alabama. That'll be interesting to watch. But if you ask me, I would not have them ranked going in against Alabama. I just wouldn't. I said on the podcast that they're absolutely a top 25 team. I should have been more specific. The talent they have on that roster and the way how well they played defensively against Auburn, how well they played defensively against the best offense or one of the best offenses in Power 5 football, Clemson, the way they played those guys, pretty impressive. And, Arkansas then turns this into a game. I mean, realistically, you could argue Arkansas lost this game. It felt like it was back and forth, and Arkansas kind of possessed some of the momentum, and they ended up losing it. It's unfortunate. It happened. I'm not disappointed with what I saw, though. I'm disappointed with how it ended, but the product on the field, that's the best we've seen Arkansas play this year, and that's what matters the most. Yes, like someone said on Twitter, history tells us Arkansas comes out of the bye, and they don't play good, and they're back to their inconsistent ways, and then something happens with a big time injury like last year when you lost Boyd and you had guys getting banged up and injured. But the difference is, I think this team, based on what we saw today, and then based on what we saw against Colorado State with that comeback and the way they came back and controlled the rest of that game against Colorado State and the way they played again against today, Texas A&M today, they absolutely have the potential to rebound and be a decent team. And that doesn't mean they're going to produce wins. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying they're going to go out and win 5 games. They may still be 2-10, 3-9. But again, if they play close, even just close to the way they played against, the kind of talent that A&M has, although their product is, they will absolutely sneak out an SEC win. There's no doubt in my mind. They don't even have to play at this level. I mean, A&M, I don't know what kind of NFL talent they have on defense, but they have some NFL talent on that defense. Did you see Rakeem Boyd in the first half? He was slicing through them. The offensive line was creating holes that I could run through. I don't know what my 40 was in high school, but it wasn't near as fast as Rakeem's. And I'm a big, slow fella, and I was in high school at Fayetteville. You could have driven a bus through a couple of those holes. And that's a legit front seven from A&M, at least based on what we've seen so far this year. I don't know. Maybe they were completely overrated this year. I don't know. Maybe their talent isn't as good as we think. All right, I've neglected the comment section. I'm going to get to it here. I'm way behind over here on you guys. Hicks is a different quarterback. He can place the ball in different spots, catchable balls at that. With Hicks, he actually he attempted some ballsy throws that he doesn't normally. He's known, and he was kind of tagged all off season as this guy that's going to try and make. He's going to throw the high percentage throws. He typically stays away from the low percentage throws. He's pretty conservative. We saw that against Portland State, and you can argue that it cost them. You can argue that his unwillingness to try and throw a couple deep balls, to try and make something happen downfield, to try and stretch the field, it just wasn't there, whether it's because he doesn't have the arm or he doesn't have the confidence in his arm. I don't know. You go back and watch him against or when he played for SMU, he made some daring throws at SMU. It just wasn't too often, according to the SMU fans. He's very conservative, and he's going to go for those low yardage, high percentage throws. Today, he actually got a little ballsy. He got a little confident in his arm, and you saw a different Hicks. That was not the same Hicks against Portland State or in the first half against Ole Miss. That was an obvious, I want the starting job back. I'm not losing it to Nick again effort today by Hicks. And I have to applaud him for that. He put it all out there. He played his rear end off. I know we weren't real happy with his demeanor on the sidelines. And I will agree that was, he should have held himself a little bit better on the sidelines, should have been more supportive. But the way, the effort, the energy, and the want to that I saw out of him was not something we saw against Portland State in the first half against Ole Miss out of him. And it was good to see. The question moving forward is, who do they go with? I don't know. Like, now I think once again, you have, God, this is so reminiscent of last year. But once again, you have two quarterbacks that I think you're okay with starting. Just based on this performance, I guess, based on today. But Starkel did not look excellent when he was out there, but he still looked pretty capable, and he looked like he didn't want to turn the ball over. It looked like he tried to reel it in a little bit. That's not Starkel. Starkel is a 50-50 chance this is either going to get intercepted or it's going to be a big throw downfield. That's what he is, a gunslinger. You've heard us say that 1,000 times. O-line was awful on that last fourth down. Okay. Yeah, they the offensive line, I would argue through, I don't know, I'm going to say a strong 60-70% of that game played pretty good. I mean, that's the best they've looked all year. I would even dare say they controlled the offense, the line of scrimmage through 3 quarters, off and on, not overly consistent. It gets really rough when you try to break down what happens on the line of scrimmage on the offensive line, because all it takes is one guy to make a mistake, and all of a sudden the whole offensive line is crap, right? Like, oh, well, Ty Clary gave up a sack. The whole offensive line is terrible. Well, this is why Pro Football Focus grades out players on the offensive line individually, and they have a group effort percentage or a breakdown when they go into their in-depth analytics, when they break these guys down and watch film. So I'm curious what they say, if they say anything at all about this game. Again, I thought through most of that game they were pretty dominant. I think Arkansas on both sides of the ball for a while, that for at least a half, they dominated the line of scrimmage. They had plays where they just, they didn't do too well. I mean, it's inconsistency. Overall, that's at the end of the day what matters, is how consistent can you be, especially up front on the line of scrimmage. And they still weren't as consistent as I would have liked. But overall, I think it was the best performance they've had all year. Go back and look at the numbers. Pretty telling. Like, it's not like they were living in Arkansas's backfield at all. And that's a solid front seven that A&M has. I mean, at the end of the day, they're a really good SEC defense. I'm not going to say they're elite. They're not, they're not Auburn or some of the better teams, but they're up there as far as the talent and the product. Matthew Hestan says, played great, proud of them, proud of the team, but I'd like to see them bring this level of play. I'd like to see them bring this level of play, coaches and team, more consistently. Yeah, no, you're right. If they play this way the rest of the year, they're going to sneak out some wins. They are. I'm not going to dare say they're going to go bowling. No, they're going to have to play. They're going to have to play at that level 100% week in and week out to at least be in the conversation to go bowling. And we all know, based on what we've seen this year and what we saw last year, the odds of that of happening are not real. They're not in Arkansas's favor. Sad thing is, we've played this well against A&M last year and still went on to suck. Again, the difference, though, Truck, is that – thanks for the comment, Truck MD. The difference is that before the A&M game, we hadn't seen a comeback like we saw against Colorado State. Now, the San Jose State game happened. And it's, normally you don't go against your gut reaction or your gut feeling. And my gut feeling is that this is exactly what happened last year. But I feel like the talent they have, and we have seen them at least once this year come back and take control of the game. And then we saw today where they just played 4 quarters of absolute solid football. Chief Keen on the Dream says, yes, Hicks has plenty of time to throw. O-line was not the problem. And that's the thing. The offensive line was not the problem today. Mental mistakes. The secondary through 3 quarters was terrible. I mean, easy slant routes. It's like they cannot defend the outside edge. They can't defend slant routes. What are you doing back there in the secondary? What is going on? Curl made some plays. Curl, I need to go look at the tackle list. I don't know how many tackles he was in on. Bumper Pool was everywhere. Scuda looked pretty good. The front four looked good. I mean, they were back there. They were pushing A&M around, and that is what we should be seeing. That needs to be more consistent. Why have we not seen this week in and week out? Why only against A&M do we see this? Like, where was this against San Jose State? Against Colorado State? We saw it against Portland State, but that's expected, right? 6 sacks in that game. I don't understand the lack of consistency from this football program, from the product on the field. It's so inconsistent. That's what's so troubling, and that's what makes it so hard for us to sit here and say, well, this week I expect them to. I don't know. They're not. There's no level of consistency with this team, and that is not a good thing. It's nice to see them play this well at the top, right? It's nice to see them come in and show up for a game that matters. But then when you play Colorado State or San Jose State, Portland State, and you struggle, well, they're clearly overlooking teams, and they're not prepared. The offense is definitely not on the same page. The defense is just – there's a whole list of things. Really good, though, to see Sosa Agim. I saw him a couple times split double teams, and then I saw and because he was attracting so much attention, it was freeing up Jamario Bell man-to-man blocking. I mean, he was held a lot. Yes, I'm going to have to agree. I'm not going to sit here and say there were missed calls. I mean, a hold is a hold is a hold. I mean, it's a penalty. Like I said, you're going to have to call it both ways, and I think on the line of scrimmage they did for the most part. Jamario Bell was held. Sosa Agim was held. There was a lot going on there. I think you could make a legitimate argument that A&M held Arkansas. It seemed like every other play, like, well, there's a hold, there's a hold, there's a hold. Like, I don't know. And I'm still furious about that missed call on the where the A&M defensive back just tackled the Arkansas receiver right in front of an official. Right in front of him. Like, I didn't see nothing, Jim. Nothing happened right there, Jim. Nothing. And it's saying something when the announcers, and then they bring in their officiating, the guy that retires and now he works for ESPN as an officiating guru or whatever. And even he's like, yeah, no, that was that was terrible. That was mind-boggling to me. Like, that should have been called. Should have been 2 penalties on that play. And then it should have played out. I don't know. Yep, those penalties cost us in the game. Couldn't agree more. They were costly. Oh man, but Burks. He made a lot of freshman mistakes. It was nice to see him rebound. And he's, like I said on our halftime show, that guy's talented. That punt return. I mean, he's 6 foot. He's 6'3", 230 pounds, and he runs like a gazelle. And he doesn't look as fast as he actually is. And I'm not going to say he's Matt Jones kind of speed, but you remember watching Matt Jones? Like, who would have guessed that guy ran a 4.38 at 6'6", 200? I forgot what he was at the NFL Combine, like 230, I think. Who would have guessed that guy ran a 4.38 watching him? He doesn't look that fast, but on the field, you got guys that have good angles. You've got second, like, your guys that are typically the fastest athletes on the field could not. Like, they had to take the right angle just to tackle him or to catch up to him. Burks he's going to be something special if he can stay healthy. Let's see. Kelly Marie, 2007. Texas A&M won 9 games last year. They'll be lucky to win 4 more games. Yeah, I just have not. I'm not sold on them. I really thought coming into this game, okay, A&M, despite their 2 losses, they're 9-3, maybe 9-3. But the more you watch, they've got 8-4, 7-5 written all over them. I'm sorry, like, they still have yet to play the beef of the SEC. They've still got some tough games coming up. I'm with you, says Kel Mary. I'm disappointed with the loss. I thought A&M would beat the spread. Yeah, I definitely thought Arkansas was going to get hammered. I was wrong. I really thought they were going to get hammered. I was really impressed with the way they not only they hung in there, like, even when they trailed and when it looked like it was going to get ugly, Arkansas hung in there. And that's what gives me hope. Didn't see that last year. Maybe a couple of times at the most. And that was because the other team made a whole bunch of mistakes and allowed Arkansas to kind of hang around in the game. And that kind of happened too. I mean, A&M shot themselves in the foot a couple of times, but they responded, and that's twice this year that they've been able to do so. Glenn says San Jose State was an overlook, got too far behind. Yeah, even if you overlook a team like that, though, it should even – at worst, it should have just been a close game. You don't lose to San Jose State. That's still just unacceptable. David Dixon, the lack of consistency is because of the lack of mental maturity. We have one of the youngest teams in the country. Yeah, I mean, sure, okay. But did you watch San Jose State last week, David? I think you did. I think you and I are on the same page for the most part. But did you watch San Jose State? Did you watch Portland State? Like, they lost this game to San Jose State, a game they had no business losing. Inconsistency, sure, not showing up for a game, but the talent level alone is good enough to beat those guys, and it did not happen. My wife must be cooking something because the house just caught on fire. It's really hot in here all of a sudden. Daryl Smith says, I'm crying right now. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to swallow. It always is, and I don't understand. I can't believe it's been this long since they've beaten A&M. That's just unbelievable. Kelly Marie says, bumper pull. That dude is going to be such a monster when he's surrounded by an entire defense. The thing is, I don't know when that happens. I mean, I don't know. I guess talent, they're getting there. But like next year, you lose Scuda, and you're going to have a whole bunch of freshman linebackers around him, right? I mean, what are the odds that Curl comes back for his senior season? Like the only competent part of the secondary that we've seen so far this year. Although I got to say, the secondary was problematic for a good 2.5 quarters, but it was nice to see them. Jacquez McClellan made some plays. Mo Brown made some plays. I mean, they defended the pass. And one of those PIs that was called on I think it was McClellan. But it was so soft. You know, you're going to tell me you're going to call that, but you're not going to call tackling a wide receiver. Got to call it both ways, SEC officiating. You're still the worst. Garbage. Such garbage. Could not believe that. I could understand some slight contact and not calling it, holding the flag. But that was damn near LA Rams Saints level of just a missed call. Unbelievable. How did they get away with that? Right in front of an SEC, like right there. He's there. He's watching. I don't know. Maybe he was I don't know. He was in his own mind. That was ridiculous. One of the worst no calls I've ever seen. I'm not talking crap about my wife's cooking. She has the oven on. It gets really hot. Actually, my wife's a pretty good cook. Not gonna lie. That was Kelly Marie. Typically, actually, I cook dinner. Not going to lie. I cook the dinners around here, but she can't cook. Not going to lie. She can cook. We still missed a lot of tackles, says Timothy Whiseant. Hope you're doing well, Timothy. Yeah, there were some missed tackles. Secondary still just doesn't. Again, Fouché most of the time looks like a pretty confident tackler. Curl made some plays. Curl, or at least made some tackles that look like, 3 or 4 years ago, those would have been missed tackles by another safety. It's good to see. It's good to see Curl. Like, even when he takes bad angles, he'll flip around. Go back and watch. If you ever just have some free time. Or maybe ask War Machine to make a Cam Curl highlight video if you hadn't already. I don't think he has. I'm sure he will by the end of the year. Go back and watch some of the tackles. He makes these – he twists his body around to hang on to the ball carrier, whoever has the ball, to wrap and make the play, make the tackle. Like, he's someone who's – I think you can argue pretty competent tackler. Not to mention, I think he's an all-SEC safety. Just me. Let's see. Hi, my name is Adam. How are you? Hi, Adam. How you doing, buddy? Hope all's well. Azazian on Absurdity. How you doing, Azazian? Bumper and Henry and Morgan will hold it down. We'll see about that. I like Bumper. I'm kind of 50-50. Wrap up, says Kelly Marie. Couldn't agree more. Robert Ainsworth, tough loss, but at least it's one that I can stomach. Yeah, well, if A&M fans weren't the worst, and if you didn't have this ridiculous streak against them, this losing streak, years when I think Arkansas was better and they still found a way to lose those games in the fourth quarter or overtime, if that wasn't the case, I'm still having a really hard time stomaching this loss. Let's see. Starkel tackles better. Did you watch that, though? I mean, he got absolutely ran over. Kelly Marie says, I'm just heckling you. Yeah, no, I mean, the thing is, I don't know if our oven, like, as soon as it turns on and it hits that 400 degrees, like, you know it, the whole house just gets really warm. Why not push Bush in for Brooks? Says Alex Henderson. Kelly Marie says, Cam won't be back next year. He goes pro, and I won't even blame him. Chief has to go, says Tugwell. Luis Tugwell. Colt Musk, it's a tough loss to process, but our team performed well under pressure. We deserve the win, but unfortunately came up short. Nothing wrong here in all caps. Well, yeah, I mean, to say nothing is wrong, that's wrong. There's plenty wrong. I mean, it was a great game. Not taking anything away from the effort. You probably missed the first half of the show when I was bragging on Hicks and Curl and the front seven from the Arkansas defense. I thought they played really well. Again, they held A&M to like 2 yards of carry on the ground. And they're not a great rushing team to begin with, but that was still great effort by them getting pressure. Maybe you missed that part of the show, Colt. But, yeah, there's always, like, it's what I do. It's why I'm on a podcast, why I have the YouTube channel, why I'm on Facebook Live. Like, I can't just sit here and tell you all the great things, right? Like, we got to point out the things that are wrong. I feel like I got to say that, like, every time we go live, someone's like, what are you doing? Yeah, you're so negative. There was some positive there. Well, maybe you miss out on the positive stuff. Not too mad, or not as mad, not as much as last week, says Tony Brown. Truck MD, the ref should have been called for pass interference for being in the way of the first half. Yeah, unfortunately, they're a part of the field. I can remember that's never been a penalty, I don't think, as long as I can remember. Sometimes you wonder if it should be, though. You know, sometimes you wonder. That was that sucked. Let's see. Truck MD says that. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I already read that. Chat goes up and down on my screen. It's hard to keep up with. David Dixon, do they play quarterback by committee for the rest of the year if Starkel is good to go? Question mark. This is David. Or ask David. I don't know what they do. And this is the thing now. If you keep Hicks in, if you keep him in, he comes out and he plays bad, well, then everyone's going to be all over Chad Morris and Craddock. You know, this is truth time. Like, you got to make the right call, and whoever you put out there, and if they don't perform, you're going to get called out. I mean, that's just a part of it. I don't know what they do. I don't know if it is quarterback. I mean, I'm going to tell you this right now. I hate quarterback by committee. When you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. In other words, if you're trying to rotate out two quarterbacks, if you're still trying to figure things out, and you're in the middle of your conference, and in the middle of the conference portion of your schedule, and you're still trying to figure out who your quarterback is, that's a problem. I don't think that's I think that's probably the most obvious thing that I've said. Let's see. Should have at least been replay of the down. Such BS. Tony Brown, don't we have a bye week next week? Yes. Yeah. Is that this week? Is that this week a bye? I think you guys are right. I think it is a bye week. Yeah. Again, I'm not super upset about this game. It's disappointing that it didn't go in their favor. Yeah. They don't play again until the 12th, so they do have a bye, and A&M has a bye as well, actually, if I looked at that schedule right. But Arkansas is going to come out of the bye, and they're going to take on Kentucky on the road on the 12th. Then on the 19th, they take on Auburn, and then the 26th is the just chalk it up as an Alabama game. And that closes out October. And then November 2nd, you take on Mississippi State. You turn around, you play Western Kentucky on the 12th, and the 12th, you play Mississippi State. November 2nd, you play Mississippi State. Western Kentucky is on the 9th. Then the 23rd of November, you play LSU on the road. Then you've got Mizzou on the 29th. I'm sorry if I'm messing that up. I'm having a senior moment here. But the rest of their schedule, look, play this way, maybe you can sneak a win out. Kentucky hasn't looked great. Auburn's Auburn. Auburn looks like a top 10 team. You're not going to beat Alabama. Mississippi State has not performed at their best. Western Kentucky to me looks like they should. If you lose that one, we're going to be having a whole different conversation going in against LSU on the 23rd, and that's on the road at LSU. I don't think that's a win. And then you've got Mizzou on the 29th. So Mizzou hasn't looked fantabulous either. So you still have, and like I've said on multiple live streams, this feels like the type of year you don't go bowling, but you could maybe sneak out a win. You're not. So look, I mean, they covered today in the what was the line? 20. What was the it was 23, right? Wasn't that I think it was 23. They covered the spread. That was the spread, 23 and a half. They should have won the game. So moving forward, I don't know that you're going to be favored in any game, according to the ESPN Football Power Index, outside of Western Kentucky. Let's look. Let's see if it's updated. Right now, you are favored against Western Kentucky at almost 73%. You're 72.8. But every single SEC game, okay, Kentucky's favored as of right now at 87%. 87%. That's terrible. Auburn, I'm going to guess 94% in favor of Auburn. Let's see. 95. Okay, I was off a percent. I'm not even going to do Alabama. Mississippi State. This is a good one. Okay, all right. This is the best, the most likely of the games that are left. Mississippi State's favored at 86%. So Arkansas is at 13%. That's not bad. I'm not going to do LSU because it's not even going to be close. Again, Mizzou, 86%, 13.8. So you've got Mississippi State. According to these guys, according to ESPN, Mississippi State and Mizzou are the games that you're not, at least it's not like a 95, 94% likelihood. Kentucky, again, that's actually 87. It's close. So you got Kentucky in there as well. So, yeah, those are your three games that you have a shot at. At least it's not in the 90 percentile yet for the other team. We'll see if that changes on Monday. But, yeah, that's what you've got left on the year. And I think if you play close to the way they play today, you got a chance at winning one of those games. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So I think we're going to close it out. We're at 42 minutes. If you guys have any questions, I know chat's been just blown up. So it was Arkansas. So Arkansas gets up for A&M and LSU. That's it. Maybe that's a chat thing you guys got going on. All we need is one SEC win. Says VE hyped. Azazian says if we land French, Stewart, and Easton for 2020, we'll be just fine at linebacker. Yeah, the only problem with that is I have a hard time leaning on freshmen. I have a hard time leaning on freshmen and saying that, they're going to be great because they've got some freshmen here. There's still going to be an issue of what you get with those guys is at least halfway competent depth. They're still going to be freshmen. You know, Bumper Pool last year, when he was on the field, he looked pretty good. But you didn't rely on Bumper Pool. Next year, it's going to be his show. Bumper Pool is going to be the guy that you're going to lean on amongst the linebackers. You're not going to be leaning on too much on freshmen. At least, I don't know. Bryson Easton's an athlete. Martavius French is a beast. They have options. They're going, assuming you get Eason. You still got to get everybody. You got to get everybody to sign. But assuming you get these guys and you sign them, they're gonna play. Make no mistake about it. They're not gonna redshirt any linebacker next year. Maybe the one. Maybe the kid that looks like a kicker. Is it basketball season yet? Says Tony Brown. So it's gonna be exciting basketball season. Can't wait. We're gonna start transitioning here in the next couple of weeks to basketball, or here soon. We're gonna be transitioning on the Hog Talk podcast to basketball. But I'm gonna tell you, I'm doing my research with basketball as we sit and stand now. I bought some literature on college basketball and I've been doing a little reading, so it's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't think there's a preseason magazine that expects Arkansas to even be in the top 10 in the conference. I know Lindy's doesn't. I haven't seen Athlon yet, but we'll wait and see. Got to be positive, Ty. I'm excited about college basketball. I'm going to be excited, and I'm excited to see a different product on the court this year for Arkansas. I'm going to have a hard time, as of right now, I'm going to have a hard time telling you that I think they go to tournament play, but that's too early. We'll have to wait and see. Once they get into conference play, we'll have to wait and see how they handle the non-conference schedule too. No doubt about that. Ben looked better, but still underthrew too many balls. And have his passes batted down. Yeah, so he had 4 passes batted down at the line of scrimmage. I said this. I was talking to maybe it was my dad. I can't remember. A buddy of mine, someone. His passes are so low. It's like when he releases the ball, he releases, his technique and his throwing style is he throws late in his delivery. He lets go of the ball late, and that's by design. That's the way that's his mechanics. And I don't know why, and it forces you to throw just right over the heads of the line of scrimmage. So you're going to have balls now knocked down. I think there were 4 today, just in 2 quarters. 4 balls batted down. Going to have to work on that. Going to have to bring that up a little bit, release the ball a little sooner. I don't know, but he's going to have to change that because that happened. I think that happened a couple of times against Portland State. I don't know. All right, the Hogs, I'm going to read a couple more, then we're going to call it. Greg Horton, the Hogs play one decent game, and all the Hog fans are back to sunshine and rainbows. Laugh out loud, I'm out. Well, I don't think you're talking about me, but I will say this. I'm not saying they're going to go bowling. No. I think they're going to have a hard time finding – I think they get a 3rd win. I'm telling you, I think they can sneak out possibly a 4th win. I think they can sneak out a conference win. They could. Their ceiling could be 4 wins. The absolute highest, I think maybe 5 is an absolute high ceiling. I don't know if it's obtainable or not. Even with the effort they played with today, I'm going to say somewhere between 3 and 4 wins. I don't think that's sunshine and rainbows, Greg. So I hope that wasn't. Hope you weren't talking to me, sir. Let's see. 4 wins would be a shocker, says Kelly Marie. Chris Johnson, not all Hog fans, responding to Greg. Just the ones who are watching was basically expected before the season started. Zach B., Bama Ole Miss on CBS. Thanks, Zach. Yes, it is. And I'm going to watch – I mean, it should be a blowout. I don't even know if that's a game worth mentioning, but I'm going to watch some college football tonight, eat some leftover pizza, and that's going to be the rest of my evening. The only bowl we hit this year is the toilet bowl. Says Truck MD. Gavin Pratt, we actually play good second halves. Now, haven't said that in 3 seasons. Jesse South says play calling in key moments has got to get better. Wasn't talking about you, Ty, says Greg. Okay. All right. Yeah, if you are on that, if you think because of the way they played A&M, they go out and they win 7 or 8 games, I'm going to tell you you're in for a shock. And I shouldn't even be saying that because based on what we've seen, there's no evidence to support that they're going to do that. And I feel like that's like stating the obvious. I hope no one thinks that this team is capable of going out and doing something unexpected. Because right now, unexpected for them would be 5 wins. That's the unexpected. I think that would be their absolute highest ceiling, if you want my opinion. That could change if they play with this intensity and they play the 4 quarters they play today the rest of the year. I don't know what they do, but I'm going to tell you, I think they go 3-9, 4-8. Why don't we play Andrew Parker at linebacker? Let's see, Matt Bridge. I wonder if a game like this is good enough to build confidence in recruits. That's a good question. We haven't talked recruiting in here in a little while because we haven't had any major updates, but outside of the decommitment out of Greedy. But I don't know. I feel like the guys that are committed now have probably been warned, like, look, we're still year 2 in rebuilding. I don't know if they have this mass exodus of commitments. I'm not seeing that. I've not been told that. There's no signs of that. The question is, will they hang on when they actually see that unfold? Maybe right now players see things differently than we do. High school recruits have a different set of eyes than we do. They have different concerns than we do. Where we see a close loss to a good team, they may see something else. They may see – someone had suggested last night when we were live that, oh, look, there's potential for me to play. Or they may be buying what's being sold to them by the staff and the recruiting when they're on these recruiting visits. That, you know what, we're going to have a tough year, but next year you're going to be a part of this 3 or 4 year rebuilding thing that we've got going on here, and we want you to come along and be a part of that. And they buy into that. And maybe they should, maybe they shouldn't. I don't know. I'm definitely not going to tell them that they shouldn't. I mean, absolutely not. But they see things differently than we do. Where we see a loss to San Jose State, I mean, I don't think they see it the same way the 35-year-old, 35-year-old construction worker Hog fan sees it, not belittling anybody, just saying like your standard, your common fan, the guy that works the fields, the cop, the off-duty police officer, the teacher, whatever. The common everyday Hog fan sees things through a very chaotic lens. And when you have a loss like to San Jose State, and I'm right there with you, you have what took place here last Saturday night, and rightfully so. But sometimes we carry it on a little too much. We don't have filters. Some of us. Sometimes I'm guilty of that. So, yeah. Hey, Ty, you think the senior quarterback at Houston that redshirted is playing the NCAA rules to his favor? Yes, I do. Dwight Raleigh, what's up, Dwight? Hope all is well. Ole Miss up 10-7. Why did they abandon the run game in the last series? I don't know. So, all right, we're gonna call it here. Thank you guys. Remember to like, comment, share, all that fun stuff. And if you're not already, join the Discord. Discord is up and rolling. I'm gonna share that really quick, and then I'm gonna call it. But if you want it, I'm gonna give it to you. There you go. Here it is. Bada bing, bada boom. There you go. There's the Discord. If you're interested, it's been popping. It's been fun. Stephen McDonald, I think we should keep Morris for 4 years. I was at the game, and we're just too dang young, says Stephen McDonald. I don't know that they're going to give him 4 years if it's 4 years of 2 and 10. Don't know if they do that. So until Monday, it probably will be live, probably be another show live. Unless I decide to pre-record, then we'll have maybe a midweek live stream. I'll keep you guys posted as best I can. Again, you can follow me on Twitter at Tyzilla83. And, of course, follow the Hog Talk podcast. Check out all the links down below. Again, to all of you who've been joining the Patreon and donating to the PayPal link down below, I appreciate it. You guys go above and beyond. And I just want you to know I really do. That means a lot to me. And everybody who comes through these shows, all you guys that come in and comment week in and week out, show in and show out, means a lot to me. I try to keep up with all of you in chat. I do the best I can. It's hard to keep up with sometimes. Timothy Whiseant, we have a close loss, and Hog fans act like we won a national title. Not Ty. Not you, Ty. All right, we'll see you guys on the next video. Woo Pig, be careful. Again, if you're in Fayetteville, watch out for those bikers. They're everywhere. And if you're down in Texas on your way back home to Arkansas, please be careful. All right, so we'll see you next video. Next live stream, whatever happens. Woo Pig.